Hi, Linda Anderson here from Linda Lou Creates. Thanks so much for joining me. I have two really fun cards that I wanted to share with you, and they make use of a fabulous bundle that is in the new annual catalog, and it is the Bloom Where You Are Planted. It is the Plentiful Plants stamp set. We've got the Perfect Plants dies. This sells as a bundle to save you 10%. The bundle is a must. I've got to tell you, the bundle is a must. And I'm going to show you several things that that awesome bundle can do for you. Now my cards, I am thinking of them, didn't know what to title them. They kind of remind me of a book. This card, initially you're like, what do you mean? It's a bit of a fun fold in which there's a score line here and only a portion of it opens up. This is adhered down this section, so it kind of reminded me of the binding along the side of a book. Now this one, I have it that it kind of has a couple pages inside. So here we go. Here's all of your insides then. All right, so I guess, book-inspired cards is what I'm going to call them. So let me start with this one here, the fun fold. And, excuse me, let me get the supplies that you're going to need to make this card. Let's start off first with the card base. I use cinnamon cider. It is 11 by 4 1/4. First up, you're going to score it at two places. So let me just show you. Here is a 4 1/4 score line and a 5 1/2. So it doesn't really matter which direction I put it. So if I come this way here, 4 1/4, 5 1/2. All right. So I'm going to fold it in the middle, which is the 5 1/2. Let me go ahead and get my bone folder for that one. Now this one that you've scored at 4 1/4 then is where it's going to fold back on itself. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive on the inside, just on that little portion there that's like 1 1/4, this section right here. I like to use tear and tape whenever I do some fun fold cards because I feel like it's going to get opened a lot. So I want to make sure that there's no problems with anything coming loose. So just within this section between the two score lines, I put some tear and tape. That's up to you. Honestly, you don't have to. All right, and then I'm just going to fold it on itself. And there we go. That's how simple it is to create the fun fold portion of this card. All right, so let me set this aside. For the inside of the card, I do have a piece of white, and this measures 4 by 4. Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put this in while it's here. So I can do my message, I can write my message, I can stamp on here, any of the above. So let me bring that back in, and this section here is where I'm going to put my white for the inside. Okay. Now for the front of the card, I have a piece of the Designer Series paper. This is the Bloom Where You're Planted DSP, and it's beautiful. So this is the one side. It's difficult to decide which side you want to use, but I wanted to go with the wood grain. I kind of like that effect. So this measures 4 by 4 as well. So let's go ahead and get that put down. Figured it might be easier to adhere things down while I'm kind of giving you the measurements. Now, if you don't get the measurements right away, don't worry, there will be a tutorial linked down in the description below, and you'll be able to get all the measurements there. Now, subscribing to my newsletter will get you the tutorial every time. I just link the tutorial directly to for my email subscribers, so you get it right away. Okay, so next is, now we're going to go work on this centerpiece here that has the flower pot. So here, this piece of white is 2 1/4 inches wide by 4. Now I have a piece of Just Jade cardstock that is then 1/8 of an inch wider. So that means it's 2 3/8 and again by 4. Now from the stamp set here, let me grab it again. The Plentiful Plants, I used the, where am I? To a Dear Friend. I stamped that in black. I am big on having my sentiments dark, and so I like the idea of using the black. Now I adhered these 2 layers together, so this will go right in the center then of my designer series paper. But before I do that, I am going to want to do some stamping. Okay, so the stamping I'm going to do is, as you can see, there's some greenery behind the flower pot itself. All right, so let's go ahead, and that is going to be stamped in Just Jade. So I'm knocking everything around, so let me go ahead, ink this up. Now, sometimes I already have my flower pot created. I will show you, excuse me, in a moment how I did that. But for right now, I am just going to set it here for placement so that I can figure out exactly where I want to do my hanging vine here. So about right there. So let's go ahead. And there we go. So now the flower pot will just go right over top of that, and you have that fun section of greenery that's hanging down. Okay, let me go ahead and adhere this down now. So let's do that. And all it is just adhered right to the center of this front panel here. So there is another piece of the designer series paper that I need to adhere down to. It's right here along this, the binding side, if I'm sticking with the theme of thinking of it as a book. So this piece again is from that same Bloom Where You're Planted DSP. I love the look of the brick. So let's go ahead and adhere that down. And this measures 1 by 4, and it fits right in here perfectly. So between where it's folded on both sides, so essentially both score lines. All right, let me get to the flower pot now. Whenever you die cut, the die cut itself, this is what you get. All right. Now, I wanted to fix or change this a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I did there. Let's just get some of the other parts going. So one of the stamps is this flower pot. I used Cajun Craze, stamped it on to the cinnamon cider, and then die cut it out. So this is what is hanging from the macrame hanger. Okay, just had to do a little bit of snipping on this. So let me show you what I mean. So the hanging basket itself, to hold all of the greenery that's in it, let's do a little bit of surgery. So this I got inspired by one of the samples that is in the catalog. So as you can see, I just snipped right here and then snip it off at the top. And you might need to go back in and kind of even out some of your edges. But that's one side. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, so let me just flip it around here. Okay, so I have the top taken off. So now I want to snip, whoops, right here and here. And here we go. So it's just a couple little pieces snipped off, and now I have the macrame hanger that I want. Let me just kind of even out some of this. Sometimes you just have to go back in with your scissors. All right. And now the thing is, though, the pot itself is going to need, it's just too high. So again, the pot ended up getting a bit of a trim as well. Where these little dots are, I did trim above that. So I shortened up the pot a little bit. And then you can see it bothered me that some of it stuck out on the edges here. So I did trim back on that a little bit as well. So just kind of did a bit of a trim here as well as on the other side. Okay, so you can just, if you want to go ahead and put your flower or your hanger over top of the pot and then trim it, you can certainly do it that way. I just sort of eyeball things and get to trimming that way. So, all right, looks like I do need a little bit more trimmed off of this side over here. So let me go ahead and do that. And then we'll be ready to get this all glued together. All right, so let's see. Perfect, right there. Now I like the pot hanging out over, all right? And I am gonna do just a little bit of trimming. I know some things I don't get like overly like perfectionist about things, and some things I do. So that was one thing I just needed to do a bit of a snip. All right, so before I can actually put this, adhere this down now, which I already have on this one, so that you don't have to watch me adhere that together, glue that together. So now I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some plants. So first up, I have this one that I stamped in the Evening Evergreen, one of the new ink colors, on white, and then used the dies to cut it out. It's going to be first. So let's just kind of put that smack dab in the middle. Okay, then here are just some other greeneries. This is the soft succulent cardstock, and these are going to be adhered then into the pot. So let's get those in. So just some little dab of glue. All right, so we're getting this built to be a full basket of greenery. I love it. All right, so there's the flower pot. Now I'm going to bring the card back in because I am going to adhere this down. Now you'll notice that I did goof. I should not have put my piece down here just yet. Yeah, I goofed. So because as you can see, I had a little piece of twine to be my hanger. So on the fly here, what I'm going to do instead is get a piece of linen thread and just tie a little bow. So here we go. Let me find an end of the linen thread that I can use. And I will be making a bow instead. All right. So let me just go ahead and tie this. I could try and, I guess, put it down in there, but you know what? I'm not going to pull up my cardstock layer to do that. So I'm just going to instead tie a bow. Here we go. And adhere this close to the top so that it doesn't even seem like it was meant to be up there the whole time. All right, so you do have two options then: to just loop a piece of linen thread around and then secure it to the back, or do what I'm doing here by adhering a bow onto it. So let's go ahead and get this secured down. So let's just get some of the glue and just a little bit onto the top of the hanger part. Okay, so there we go. So like I said, I am going to secure it up relatively high, a little bit higher than what I did on the sample card, so that I can now secure my linen thread bow, which I'm just getting a glue dot, kind of roll it up on itself. And I am just going to secure it right in here, right in that hole of the hanger. All right. Make the length where however you want. So there we go. Now I do have another bow that I have. This was from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. And I am going to not put this one on this card like I have it on this card. Just because I now have a bow right here. I probably could have used this there as well, but I like the thinner ribbon or twine thread of the linen thread, so I decided to use that instead. I'm going to leave this blank on this side. I already have the bow that I want, but the last little bit for this card is going to be some of the gold metallic pearls. So let's go ahead and just kind of scatter a couple of them in here. And there we go. Now, if you hear a bell jingling in the background, that is one of my cats playing. They are nice and quiet until I start doing a video. So just like kids getting on the when you're on the telephone, they wait until you are before they want to talk to you. So, all right, so just a little bit of just two differences here on the cards. So excellent. Now, card number 2. This one is, again, sort of a booklet type of card. What I liked about it was fun, was it has this cool little window on it to see the front page of your book. So let's go ahead and get the supplies that you need for this card. All right, first up I have is a gray granite card base. It is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Now, I do have a piece here of the Bloom Where You're Planted DSP, and it measures 5 1/4 by 4. I went ahead and adhered that down, and then using one of the layering circle dies, I die cut out the circle. All right, so make sure that you put your adhesive down first, or rather your designer series paper first. But speaking of the adhesive, kind of know where you're going to be cutting your circle out, and make sure you do put a couple little bits of your adhesive. That way, whenever you die cut it out, it'll be adhered. So in other words, don't just go around the edges. You want to make sure you put a little bit of adhesive kind of in the area where you're going to be doing your die cutting. Okay, now, just so you know, this circle measures about 2 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that's what I have here, and I just die cut out that piece. The piece that I cut out, I'm going to use that on another card, so be ready. Okay, so next is the inside, the book part. I have a piece of white, and it measures 5 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then I have it scored in the middle, which is at 4 1/8. So it is a little bit smaller than your card. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the inside of my card. And you just want to put it on the back of one part of your folded piece of white. Okay. And I put it up against the score line of the gray card base. So kind of put that in there and secure that down. All right, so I have my opening or my front cover, and then I have my little booklet on the inside as well, and it is adhered down here. Okay, now you notice on the front of this that there is a cool scallop frame on it. How did I create that? Well, I had 2 dies. I had that same 2 3/8 inch circle die, and I have the scallop then that is a little bit bigger. It's approximately 2 7/8 is what that scallop measures. I put it through my die cut machine on a piece of Evening Evergreen cardstock, one of the new in colors. And I ran them through together at the same time, just like this. The circle fit right perfectly inside those scallops of the die. And when I die cut it out, I did get the two pieces. First up, I have the circle and I have the frame. So this is the frame I'm going to use just around here, just to give a little bit of something around that opening then. So let me get just a little bit here of adhesive, of my liquid glue. All right. And now I'm just going to, and it obviously will fit perfectly since you used the same circle die to cut the circle out of the card base as you cut it out of the center of this frame. So it will fit in there perfectly. Using the liquid glue gives you a little bit of time to move it around, make sure you have it all lined up. So there. Definitely is not necessary, but it certainly adds a nice little punch to it. So, all right. The next thing I want to do here is stamp my sentiment. So I have from the Plentiful Plants, the sentiment that I want. Let me just move this out of the way. I have some Evening Evergreen ink that I am inking it up with. So now I am going to bring this back in. Let me just hold down that flap so I can get in here, and I will stamp, oops, get that out of the way. And I can stamp now my sentiment. Okay. So there we go. We're getting moving right along. Now, let me show you one more thing that I get so excited about with what Stampin' Up! Does now. The Designer Series paper. This is just, here's like the back side of what I have on the front. All right. It is all of the flower pots. Now, what is just the coolest thing that I love that they do is I have the dies and I can cut out these flower pots. Okay. And I also have the dies that I can cut out some of the greenery. So here, and let me just show you another one real quick right here. I just think that's fantastic. I love that. So that's what I did on this card, is I created all of my flower pots using the die cuts and the Designer Series paper. So here we go. I have these 3 flower pots that I die cut out, and I've already adhered them down. So I just think this is awesome. Just so much fun. I so look forward to the paper and the dies that I'm able to do that with. So tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these down first to the inside. All right. So let me just get some of my glue going here. And I'm going to put this one right here. Woo! No, I'm not. Let's just bring it down a little bit. And it does show through a little bit. I'll see if I can fix that. Okay. So I think I meant to put this one on the inside since it is smaller and it won't show through my opening. I'll tell you what, I have done it on both cards where I've kind of not paid attention to what I'm doing, huh? But as they say, mistakes are always ways to get creative, so you can embellish and find ways in which to fix the, it's not a mistake, to fix what you want to. So I have this flower pot then that I do have up on dimensionals. So I'm going to adhere that right here to the front. Okay. And one more here, and I am ready to go. So let's adhere this down to the front. I was wondering if I could do that with it. No, it looks like it's floating in midair, so let's put it down here. Don't get crazy, Linda, huh? Let me go ahead now and get my bow. I have 2 strands. They measure about 20 inches long of the linen thread, because what I want to do is open up my booklet. Here I am going to put this inside and then tie it at the front. Okay, so this is always something then that takes time to make sure that I have it just so. So hopefully I can get it done the right way right off the bat. Okay, so play around with it then till you have it the way you like it. And there we go. I can move it up if I want to, but I'm kind of liking it right there. So here we go. Let's get now some of the gold pearls on it. And I have them right here. And keep it up in hopes of kind of distracting you from seeing the leaf sticking out. So, all right, let me show you the good one then, the one that I didn't make the mistake on. So here it is then. So here is your booklet card then. See how I put the bigger one on the inside? So to avoid that. So, all right, here are my 2 cards. Let me bring the other one back in if I can find where I put it. So here are those cards. So some fun fold cards, kind of inspired by books, and the stunning Bloom Where You're Planted designer series paper, suite with all the gorgeous dies and stamp set. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. It was a little bit of a crazy video, I know, but just know that, you know, we make mistakes and we just find ways in which to fix them, right? So thanks again for joining me. If you liked the video or if it made you laugh because of all my mistakes, give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have a blog. It's lindaloucreates.com, and you can see some more projects over there. I have a Facebook page, which is also Linda Lou Creates. So find me over there. Every Sunday I do a Facebook Live in the evening, so you can get some more fun stuff there. So thanks again, everybody, for joining me, and I hope you get a chance to create today. Bye now.